Have you ever gotten so sucked into a video game that hours just disappear? What is it about that experience that's so magnetic? Well, it's not just about flashy graphics or even winning. It turns out there's some real science going on behind the scenes. So that's the big question, right? What is the secret recipe for fun? It sounds like a simple question, but researchers have actually been digging into this, trying to crack the code of what makes something genuinely enjoyable. And get this, they've landed on a pretty cool theory. They call it the Goldilocks theory of fun. And yep, it's exactly what it sounds like. It's all about finding that spot that's just right. I mean, it just makes sense when you think about it. If something's way too easy, you get bored, right? It's like, imagine you, as an adult, practicing tying your shoes. There's zero challenge. You're not learning anything new. So where's the fun in that? And then on the flip side, what happens when something is completely impossible? It's just frustrating. You want to throw the controller across the room. Picture trying to teach a 2-year-old advanced chess. They're not going to make any progress. They're just going to get upset and walk away. It's totally overwhelming. So if it's not too easy and it's not too hard, what's the magic ingredient in the middle? Well, the researchers call it learning progress. And it's that amazing feeling you get when you can actually feel yourself improving. You're leveling up. You're figuring it out. That feeling, they say, is the real engine that drives fun. This graph shows it perfectly. This is the Goldilocks zone in action. You've got difficulty on the bottom and how much fun you're having on the side. And look, the fun factor isn't at its highest when things are super easy or super hard. Nope. It peaks right there in the middle, in that sweet spot where we feel like we're really learning and growing. Okay, so that's a really neat theory. But does it actually hold up in the real world? Like with actual people? Well, let's put it to the test by looking at what millions of online gamers have to tell us. To do this, scientists dug into a mountain of data from 3 totally different but super popular games. We've got Robuzzle, a puzzle game, Trackmania, a racing game, and the legendary Super Mario Maker. And we're not talking about a small sample size. This is based on millions and millions of player ratings. So check this out. When you look at the data for Robozill and Trackmania, it's a perfect match for the theory. You see that classic upside-down U shape on both graphs. Player enjoyment shoots up and peaks right in that medium difficulty zone. The evidence is pretty clear. We absolutely love a just right challenge. But then there's Super Mario Maker. And this is where the story gets a little more interesting. The graph is different. I mean, you can still see that main upside-down U, but there's this other little bump over on the super easy side. People were loving really easy levels, too. So what's going on? Turns out the recipe for fun has a couple more ingredients than we thought. First up, expectations. Basically, players had the most fun when a level was exactly as hard as they thought it would be. If a level was labeled easy and was actually a nightmare, that wasn't fun. And the other factor? Just plain old success. You know, that simple, satisfying feeling of winning. And that's why those really easy levels still got high ratings. Sometimes you just want to win. All right, so we've kind of cracked the code for fun, right? You need that just right challenge, you need to meet expectations, and you need that sweet taste of success. It's a killer formula for video games. But what if we could use this for something more? Could we take these ideas and use them to make learning, say vocabulary, actually fun? Let's see what happens. Because let's be honest, this is what we're usually dealing with. This quote from a study pretty much says it all. Traditional teaching methods are often less interesting, ineffective, and less motivating. I mean, we've all been there, right? Staring at a list of words, trying to memorize them. It's the exact opposite of fun. So to tackle this, a team in Malaysia created something called the World of Words game, or WOW for short. It's an online game built for 5th graders to learn vocabulary from their official curriculum. The whole idea was to link words with pictures and make the whole process feel less like a chore and more like a game. And you know what? On the surface, it worked. The students loved it. They said it was fun, the game looked cool, and they liked getting positive feedback. It looks like a home run, right? It ticks all the boxes we just talked about from the science of fun. But, and this is a big but, that's not the whole story. This is where it gets a lot more complicated. Because when we just look at the average experience, we can miss some really important details. What happens when the playing field isn't level? What happens when fun isn't something everyone can easily access?
See, the study that dug into the WoW game experience wasn't looking at millions of players. It was a much smaller, deeper look at just 20 students. And because it was so small, the researchers could really pay attention to each kid's individual story. And by looking that closely, they found something that the big numbers might have missed. The big question became, did every single one of those students have that same fun, positive time with the game? And the answer was a clear and kind of troubling no. The experience was completely different depending on who the student was. For kids from middle and high-income families, yeah, it was fun, it was great, they could play it whenever. But for students from lower-income families, indigenous students, and kids who just weren't used to using phones and tablets, for them, the game was frustrating and unsatisfying. It was just one more challenge.
And this gap had nothing to do with the game itself being badly designed. It was all about the world outside the game. This is a perfect example of something called the digital divide. It's that chasm between people who have easy access to tech and know how to use it, and those who don't. And this shows that without careful thought, these fun new tools can actually make existing inequalities even worse.
Okay, so let's tie this all together. What have we learned? We know the science of fun is real, and it's a super powerful way to get people engaged. And yes, using game mechanics, gamification, can absolutely make learning better. But, and this is the really big but from that classroom in Malaysia, a tool is only good if everyone can actually use it. If there's no equity, if people don't have access to the tech or the skills to use it, then even the most fun, most brilliantly designed educational game can end up making things more unequal, not less. Which leaves us with a really important question to think about. As our world, and especially education, gets more and more digital, as we get better and better at making things fun, how do we make sure that fun and the learning that comes with it is actually for everyone?